What's up, everyone, and God bless. Welcome back to Gloriously Catholic. If you're new here, welcome. I am Glory, and I am a born-again, cradle Catholic wife and mom of 3, and I am here to learn, experience, and share all things Catholic with you. Let's talk about mortification. What is it? Why do we do it? And the different types. What is mortification? So the root word for mortification comes from the Latin words mors and mortis, which translates as death. So in our spiritual life, mortification refers to the voluntary actions by which we gradually put to death all of our vices, sinful habits, and any self-centered tendencies that may lie beneath them. The Catechism of the Catholic Church states in 2015, "The way of perfection passes by way of the cross. There's no holiness without renunciation and spiritual battle. Spiritual progress entails the ascesis and mortification that gradually lead to living in the peace and joy of the Beatitudes." The Catechism of the Catholic Church also states in 2099 and 2100, "It is right to offer sacrifice to God as a sign of adoration and gratitude, supplication and communication. Every action done so as to cling to God in communion of holiness and thus achieve blessedness is a true sacrifice. Outward sacrifice, to be genuine, must be the expression of spiritual sacrifice. The sacrifice acceptable to God is a broken spirit. The prophets of the Old Covenant often denounced sacrifices that were not from the heart or not coupled with love of neighbor. Jesus recalls these words of the prophet Hosea, 'I desire mercy and not sacrifice. The only perfect sacrifice is the one that Christ offered on the cross as a total offering to the Father's love and for our salvation.' By uniting ourselves with His sacrifice, we can make our lives a sacrifice to God. In the Gospel of Luke, Jesus tells us, 'If any man would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me.' Now let's take a page from St. Paul, who says, 'Now I rejoice in my suffering for your sake, and in my flesh I complete what is lacking in Christ's afflictions for the sake of his body, that is, the Church.' The New Catholic Encyclopedia defines mortification as the deliberate restraint that one places on natural impulses in order to make them increasingly subject to sanctification through obedience to reason illumined by faith. Jesus required such renunciation of anyone who wished to come after him, and so mortification, or what St. Paul calls the crucifixion of the flesh, with its vices and concupiscence, has become a distinguishing mark of those who are Christ's. So now that we know the concept of mortification, let's look at its purpose. Mortification is necessary because self-denial and renunciation of the world and self are ways to possess incarnate wisdom. St. Louis de Montfort lists mortification among the 4 means necessary to acquire wisdom. A relationship with Christ is impossible without mortification. Jesus voluntarily accepted suffering and death as a means to redeem the world from sin. We, as Christians, are called to emulate Jesus' great love and, among other things, join him in his redemptive suffering. Thus, we are called to die to ourselves. The Catholic Church already mandates certain mortifications, such as fasting on Fridays and during Lent. So we see the Catholic Church already requires some form of mortification. However, those who seek to advance in Christian perfection must mortify themselves more than ordinary believers are required to do so. Let's examine some of Jesus' words. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus said, "If your right eye makes you stumble, tear it out and throw it from you, for it is better for you to lose one of the parts of your body than for your whole body to get thrown into hell. If your right hand makes you stumble, Cut it off and throw it from you, for it is better for you to lose one of the parts of your body than for your whole body to go into hell. In the Gospel of Peter, Jesus said, Beloved, I urge you as aliens and strangers to abstain from fleshly lusts, which wage war against the soul. In the Gospel of John, he says, In all truth I tell you, unless a wheat grain falls into the earth and dies, it remains only a single grain. But if it dies, it yields a rich harvest. In the Gospel of Mark, he says, Anyone who wants to save his life will lose it, but anyone who loses his life for my sake and for the sake of the gospel will save it. So what are the different types of mortification? There's interior mortification, which is denying our own thoughts or will. Exterior mortification, which is physical practices of suffering and or denial, such as fasting, abstinence, and or pious kneeling. And then there's passive mortification, which is patiently accepting the sufferings that we don't choose but we can't avoid. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up so that I know you did and I can make more content like this for you in the future. And don't forget to subscribe. May God bless you and Our Lady keep you.